Hi, my name's Alex, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use a DVOM or digital volt ohm meter, such as this one. I'm going to be showing you the basic functions of voltage checks, current checks or amperage checks, and resistance or ohms checks. The first thing you'll need to do is set up your ohm meter. There are several ports on it. All basic ones will have voltage, ohms, and amperage. Your amperage will be set up fused links on any decent multimeter, and then your ohms and voltage will be out of the two ports as listed. So the first thing you'll need is your leads. You'll have a black lead and a red lead. For your black lead, it will always go into your common on your multimeter. Your red lead will be based on what you're checking for. For a voltage check, you would be putting it into the V or ohm and set it for voltage. And then you would use your test leads to test for voltage in the circuit. For setting it up for ohms, you would use the same port as the voltage, but you would set it to the omega symbol, which is the national symbol used for ohms. And to zero out your multimeter, you will take your two leads and test the resistance between your two leads. And since this multimeter has a 0.6 ohm, you would need to pull 0.6 off of any reading you take. Now, when setting your multimeter up for amperage checks, you need to put the multimeter in as part of the circuit. In order to protect the multimeter, you're going to use the fused links. On this one, they're on the opposite side. You have a 20 amp and a milliamp. You should always go with the greatest protection, not knowing what you have there. And then you would set it, so we're going to do ours in the 20 amp, and you would set it for the 20 amp. And then you would place it in series in the circuit. If it only reads in milliamps, then you can go ahead and go down to the milliamp port. Lastly, when checking your multimeter, you will want to make sure that your fuses are not blown. To do this, you'll place the multimeter in ohms, and you will take your positive lead and place it into the fused. As long as you come up with a reading or not reading 0, 0 or OL, then the fuse is not blown. If you come up with a reading of OL or 0, 0, then the fuse is blown. Lastly, in regards to the range, you can move the decimal point, as you can see here, for where the decimal point is based on the reading you want to take. Most multimeters are self or automatically adjusting, but you also have the range button in order to range it out yourself. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do some of these tests on a STEM trainer. First, I just wanted to show you real quick one additional electric testing tool. It simply only tells you whether you have power or not. It doesn't actually give you any further information. But it's a test light with one end up to ground and one end up to positive, and if you have power, the light will come on. Alright, to do a voltage check, you're going to be using the ohm meter in voltage, and you need to just probe the circuit from positive to a good ground. So on the STEM trainer, this black side here is a good ground, and we'll go ahead and probe this light and make sure we have voltage going to it. And as you can see, we have 13.3 volts going to it. Now I'm going to show you a useful way to use this tool checking for a voltage drop. To check for a voltage drop, you want to know what power you have coming. In this case, you're going to test your battery. On this one, it's just the red and the black side. And you can see we've got a reading of 13.6 volts. So then to check for a voltage drop, you would check across the circuit and make sure that before and after On this one we have a 13.42 slight voltage drop of 0.2 volts, which is within tolerance. Across an entire circuit you can have anywhere from 0.2 to 0.5 volts as an acceptable loss. If you experience more than that, you could have an unwanted voltage drop, which would indicate a short circuit. Next, I'm going to be showing you how to check for resistance. You want to check for resistance to ensure a component is not providing too much resistance, which could short power out. In order to check for resistance, the component needs to be isolated and shut off or completely disconnected from the system. You'll set up your multimeter into ohms. Alright, we already know that we have a 0.6 ohm on this particular multimeter, and you'll just connect your leads to both ends of the components, and you will make sure you have good contact, and you will take the measurement of the ohms. Once it balances out, you'll see that we have a 6.6 ohm reading, and we know that this has 0.6, so it's a total of 6 ohms on that component, which you would then compare with a spec list and make sure it's within tolerance. Alright, the last thing I'm going to show you how to do today is to test for current or amperage. First you have to set up your multimeter. You'll have to take your red lead and move it over to the amp side. We're going to go ahead and go into the 20 amp. And you also have to turn the multimeter on to the 20 amp indicator. In order to test for amperage, you need to make the multimeter in a series as part of the circuit. In order to do that, the circuit would be on. You would go ahead and break the circuit, whether it be cutting a wire or, in this case, pulling the plug, and just simply reconnect it using the multimeter. You'll notice it will come back on and you will get an amperage reading. We're getting an amperage reading on this particular as 0.19 amps. And that concludes our video on how to use a DVOM or multimeter. Thanks for tuning in.